Hi, it's Adrian here, full-time teacher of the Alexander Technique. I teach online as well, so if you're interested in delving deeper, please do get in touch. Now, today's subject is about gravity. And I kind of want to apologise a bit in advance for the somewhat clickbaity title. I normally choose a title after I film, but this time I've already chosen the title and I wanted something a bit snappy. And it's not really a myth, the gravity myth, it's not really a myth, it's just that the science has been superseded. So I don't want to sound like I'm trying to denigrate the previous science, not at all, it was just a catchy title. So the way you think about gravity is mostly from the view that Isaac Newton gave us. And it's decided that it's a force that drags us down. And it's very, intuitive, we're quite happy with that. Problem is the science has superseded that, as I said, over 100 years ago by Albert Einstein and his General Theory of Relativity. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the theory of that, so don't worry about having to put your science hat on. I'm going to go into it a little bit. The main point of this video is about using it as a thought experiment to see how it changes our behaviour. Now, what Einstein said was it's not a force, gravity isn't a force, but that a large mass, like planet Earth, distorts and bends space-time. And that is what causes gravity, the actual bending of space-time. Now that's hard to imagine, but what's important is what that actually means for our experience. Now, I actually saw a video a couple of weeks ago. I originally wrote about this like 3 years ago in a blog, and I kind of wrote it from an academic point of view, just a blog for blog's sake, Google likes new content and all that. But this video, which I will put the link below, I really would love you to watch it as well, because it makes the science very, very, very clear. But the video really hit home with me in a way that's really changed my experience, even after teaching Alexander Technique for years. And it's really helped my clients as well, getting great feedback that it's changed their experience of how they find their support and how that helps their poise and their posture. So what he posited was, the little thought experiment we're going to give is, if you were in space, in interstellar space, there's no other large planets around, there's no sun, so there's no gravity as you'd normally think about it. And actually, let me stop for a moment, I've got something for you. I got my daughter to draw me this, because this is going to be part of our thought experiment. So it's a man in a rocket ship. And if you look closely, he looks a bit discombobulated, because when I tried to explain what I wanted it for, my 8-year-old was a bit confused. So maybe don't go around trying to explain general relativity to your kids, but I tried. And actually, if you notice, she's rather nicely put Saturn and some stars in his jumper. Anyway, I digress. The thought experiment is this. If you're in space, you are weightless. But if this rocket ship accelerates up at 9.8 meters per second square, that's basically 1g, that's how we would describe gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared acceleration, you would feel the floor come up underneath you at that speed, and it would feel like you're standing on the Earth. It would be indistinguishable. And what Einstein basically is saying is you're in fact just as weightless on Earth. You don't become weighted when you hit the floor. You don't become weighted when this floor comes up underneath you. You're already weightless, you just have contact points of an accelerating surface underneath you. Now obviously you can't see the Earth accelerating up underneath you. So that's why it's counterintuitive. But the experience is exactly the same. If you were literally somehow transported from where you're sat or stood right now onto this rocket ship, you would not be able to tell. The experience would be exactly the same. And there's some deep maths involved. Parts of the equations cancel each other out. That's why you can't see yourself moving with the acceleration. But like I said, watch the video, that will make more sense. Now, the point of this isn't really to make a point about the reality of the science, but to use some fairly heavy-hitting science, if I might say so, but use it as a thought experiment and see how it changes your behaviour. So I rather like this idea that we've got this force coming up underneath us, lifting us up, so that I'm sat down, so the contact points are with my backside and my feet. I am otherwise weightless, but I've got this force coming up, pushing me up. So here I am being weightless. And the idea of it, by the way, if you were to jump out the window, you wouldn't feel weighted. You'd feel weightless while you were falling. You don't become weighted the moment you hit the floor. You are weightless, and I know that's really hard to take on board. You're weightless, but you have a strong contact point of an accelerating force coming underneath you. And that accelerating force is pushing up through my spine, pushing my head off the top. And here I am being lifted up. That's such a more useful thought and changes my behaviour within gravity than thinking I'm being pulled down. As a thought experiment, would you rather be lifted up or would you rather be pulled down? I would much rather feel supported and lifted up. Now, because we're a wobbly structure, we have to adjust and readjust to find that support. So the support has always been transferred through our structure in slightly different ways because we're wobbly. And that's what our postural reflexes do. They're always refinding support. So that's why you want to forget about posture, because it's just a fixed position. The problem is, if the support moves slightly, if you don't move with it, the posture's not much use. Because we're wobbly, the support's always going to change. So we want to keep refinding the support in our movement. Like I say, we learn to do that from a toddler. That's what we do when we learn to stand up, to refine the support and adjust and readjust to it. But such a more useful concept, I think, personally, and I have to say my feedback against my clients has been great, to have that idea of support coming up underneath you and letting your spine be lengthened up so it's pushed up, head pushed off at the top, lifted up. So, hope that's not too counterintuitive. Try it as a thought experiment. Just try it. Try being on that rocket ship for a few moments. Genuinely feel like that floor is accelerating up underneath you, but you're otherwise weightless. And Einstein's telling us you would not be able to distinguish that experience from the one you are having on Earth. So if that's all it takes, is the experience is the same, but the way you think about it is different. And this is what Alexander always wrote about more than anything else, thinking. If your thinking is up, taking support, will that change your posture and your poise in a beneficial way, better than thinking you're being dragged down? Give it a go, see what you think. Let me know. All right, thanks. Bye.